Hey y'all, it is September 29th, 2022, which means I missed the August update. I want to start first by apologizing for that and just asking for your forgiveness because I did promise to put an update out monthly, and I didn't follow through with that in August. So I'll kind of explain what was going on during both of those months. I have a ton to update on, and so this one will be a little bit longer, but I'm going to try to go through it quickly and still cover it well, which is hard to do. So um, with a personal update, just wanted to start it by just being honest. August and September were some of the hardest months, maybe of my life. Just spiritually, emotionally, it was really challenging. A lot of that was rooted in my own sin of just being not grateful, not seeing what God was doing, just being very inward and self-focused. So I've kind of been able to move past that. It wasn't all bad for sure, but just ask God for forgiveness, change of perspective. And so things have been better for sure in the last like 2, 3 weeks. So again, lots to celebrate. So I'll talk a little bit about what was going on in the life of our church. We had freshmen move in the first week. We had the weeks of welcome, where school was just getting fired up. Basically, what encompassed those weeks was meeting as many people as we could by any means possible. That was tabling, playing sports on campus, running events in the evening, inviting people to weekend events. So it went really well. I met up with tons of guys for coffee and to share the gospel. And we did a bunch of great weekend events, like I mentioned, tubing, Bryce Canyon, Survivor Weekend. Anyone who went to those events probably heard the gospel more than once, which was awesome. So these are pretty non-spiritual events, but we just get to form friendships with these people as we spend time with them. And conversations generally naturally just go to spiritual context, in which we get to share Jesus and who he is and what he's done, which was awesome. So then a lot of grassroots outreach too of our core team, just taking the flag to campus and doing something small like a crafting night to meet people. So that's been awesome too. Sunday gathering is now on campus again, which is awesome. We started that right before the semester started, and we're celebrating. It's a major point of celebration. So 3 people at our Sunday gatherings thus far have said yes to following Jesus, which we're super excited about. We're diligently following those people up to make sure that they understood the gospel clearly, they understood what it means to follow Jesus, and then also so that they're equipped to take their next steps and being loved well in that. So their names are Ashley, Emma, and Jacob. We're really excited about that and thankful and just praising God that people are responding to the gospel with yes. So very cool stuff. We're getting to the point in the semester now, I think it's like week 6-ish of school, where people are going to stick around or they're kind of not. So we met up with a ton of people who kind of come and gone. But 3 guys that I am consistent with now, and this actually is just in the last couple of weeks, they started. I'm doing Grow Group, which is a book that we go through just with some fundamentals of Christian faith. And those guys are JC and Nate. We're doing Grow Group as three guys together. And then another guy named Alan. So JC and Nate are from San Diego. They're freshmen. Alan is a transfer sophomore. Very well thought out theological guy. All 3 of these guys are following Jesus already. But just wanting to get their roots down now that they're out of the house, or in a new place in Alan's case. So really excited about that. Another guy that I'm going to start reading the Bible with regularly is Jacob, who I just had mentioned. Kind of doing an exploration Bible study on what the Bible talks about in the afterlife, because he's actually pretty unsure about the afterlife, which I think points towards maybe not understanding the gospel so well. So hopefully we'll see some discovery and see his heart kind of understand the realities of what Christians believe about eternity. So I'm really excited about that. Discipleship updates. Zach still growing a ton, realizing that he's going to have to slow his life down a little bit and heal before moving on to disciple others, which is a win. I think he is finally understanding that a foundation in Christ is required before going to lead. So that's great. So Jace, and my last update, I mentioned I hadn't been hearing from him a ton over the summer. That kind of continued. We finally had a conversation, just kind of reevaluating, like, hey, do you still want to do this? And I think we mutually agreed that maybe formal discipleship just in huddle and that commitment level wasn't the best for either one of us at this time. And he's actually thinking about moving on to look for another church too, because he wants to find somewhere where he can play drums Sunday worship. And I think there's other reasons too. Our relationship certainly wasn't perfect, as none are. But I think I did have, on my end, a lot of failures as a leader to love him well, to lead him well, and just to be a good friend to him at times. So yeah, I learned a lot from that. It's been very difficult. It's very difficult to admit that, and it's very difficult to extend grace to myself, especially when another person's involved. But I wanted to be honest with you all about that. And yeah, I don't know. I'm still praying that God can redeem that relationship back into discipleship because yeah, I spent a ton of time with him and we became close friends, and now we kind of don't really talk much, which has been really sad. And I'm kind of still hurting a lot about that, and it makes me feel pretty insecure, if I'm honest. So anyway, that's what's been going on. I maybe can explain more about that later, but if y'all could keep Jason in prayer, just that he would be prioritizing God in his life, which I honestly just don't know if he was while we were even doing huddle or if he is now. It was just really hard to see him go because now I don't know how he's doing at all. So going to be reaching out to him soon just to kind of reevaluate. So please be praying for those conversations. Matthew is again at Southern Utah University now, still looking for a church family. So please keep praying for him in that. And lastly, I'm leading 5 other guys who are pretty mature. They church planted with us. The 4 guys that came from our Monmouth, Oregon site, Ryan, Luis, Solomon, and Moy, are in that huddle, as well as Sam Ruth from Pullman. Several of these guys are already leading other guys. So this is kind of a little bit of a different feel for huddle. This is more of like, not baby steps, but kind of moving on into like, the jog, running the race. So really life-giving to be leading those guys. And they're pouring a lot into my life too, which is awesome. So really excited about that. Last thing to update on is Village. And so I'll probably explain more in detail what Village is next month, because it's more than just the weekly night I'm going to talk about. But for Village, we do a weekly night at my house where we have dinner and invite pretty much anybody and everybody to come. And what it is it's supposed to feel like a family night. We have dinner, we usually play some games, and we ask and discuss intentional questions. So the people that put it on, so my huddle and my co-leader Johanna's huddle, we're armed, with some good questions to try and like genuinely get to know people. And naturally, those great conversations usually get spiritual. And it's an environment where people can come in and feel like they're building community and family. Which is just a huge need on the college campus. A lot of people don't have that. So to do that, I put an Amazon wish list in my description for people who might really like to support in very more concrete, tangible ways instead of like a financial gift, or if you just like to help someone be more hospitable. That's what it's really all about, is so that I can cook and prepare better for large crowds, because I've got people coming over on Thursday nights, but I have larger groups throughout the week too, where I am preparing food. So that would be super helpful to have a few of those items. So if you wouldn't mind checking that out, if that's your gig, but no pressure if not. So anyway, that's the update. Again, a little bit longer on this one, but just want to reiterate that I'm really thankful for everyone. I'm grateful for your prayers, grateful for your support, and I'm looking forward to continuing to update you on all that God is doing here at the University of Utah. So love you. See ya.